I'm Joy Randall, and I am a beauty entrepreneur and conversationist. I'm also the master cosmetologist at Essential Aesthetics and Laser in Charlotte, North Carolina. My background is in professional makeup artistry. For over 15 years, I've worked with celebrities, major networks, and national magazines. Makeup artistry led me to wanting to know everything I possibly could about skincare, which made me much more health conscious and finally led me to understanding the emotional connections to beauty. I've learned so much along the way, and I want to share it all with you here on Beautiful Conversations. I'm talking all things beauty with experts who are amazing at what they do. I hope you not only get to know them, but learn lots about the industry and how to achieve your beauty goals. So enjoy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share it with a friend. All right. Welcome to Beautiful Conversations. As you already know, I am Joy Randall, also known as the Beauty Influencer. And I like to, bring in cool ass people that I know and have conversations with anyway. Beauty and health professionals. So I'm super excited about this particular conversation because it is about a topic that I'm really passionate about. And I just think it's we don't talk about mental health enough. We don't talk about mental health enough and how it relates to the beauty industry. So without further delay, I am going to introduce my guest. But this is Miss Nikki.
Yes. How are you?
Corbett. I'm doing well. She is also known as the Around the Way therapist, which I love that name. I love that name so much. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Nikki, I know, and let me just go ahead and kind of give a little preface because I've known Nikki for quite some time. I would like to say that I've known Nikki since before, I am the woman that I am today. When I was, twerking and, all up in the sauce, which there was nothing wrong with that person either. But we've known each other for quite some time.
Yes. We have.
Yes, we have.
We had some good times too.
Yes.
With the twerk and it all.
Yes. And so it's awesome to kind of reconnect and rebuild and evolve, our friendship now. And so I'm excited to have her in. So Nikki, I know that when you text me, and when I'm looking at your website, you have all these little acronyms after your name. Like these little, and I'm like, ooh, what that mean? What that mean? So I know you're a therapist, so tell the folks a little bit about what you do.
Okay. Well, I do provide individual therapy. Look, basically, when people say, tell me what you do, I always say individual therapy, but it's really just therapy in general. So when we're thinking about therapy, not anything like occupational therapy, it's mental health for the most part, right? And mental health doesn't mean that we have to have had a mental break in order to go ahead and be seen by a mental health provider or a clinician, therapist, social worker, psychiatrist, psychologist. It's a lot of different acronyms and different practices and specialties within the mental health field, even down to some of our spiritual ones, right? Reiki, yoga, a whole bunch of other things. And so I encourage it all. But me in particular, I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor in the state of North Carolina. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas. I'm currently pursuing my licensure in California, specifically to try to provide services in the LA, Long Beach area. So that's what I do. I specialize in self-care. Self-care comes with a whole gamut of things. I feel like self-care is the holistic approach to the person. And so we have to look at the whole person in order to start to be better for ourselves, in order to live that quality life, in order to pursue our goals, for instance. And so when I say therapy, and that's why I had me stumped in the beginning about Well, individual therapy, because I don't look at it like that. Hence the name Around the Way Therapist. I like to just debunk all of the stuff about what therapy looks like for our community so that people feel more comfortable with going to a therapist. A lot of individuals that I do see in my private practice are first-time therapist goers, right? Because of the notion of when you go to therapy, then you're considered to be crazy. You don't know how to handle your emotions. You're stigmatized, right? And so it's not really encouraged, or say, hey, you keep your business in your house type of thing. So I say that Around the Way to give it that feel where, no, we're not homeboys, we're not homegirls, I'm not your auntie, none of that stuff. However, you know, I'm here with you. I'm gonna meet you where you're at.
I love it.
We're gonna uncover some real hardcore stuff, but we're not gonna stay stuck there, because we want to focus on what it is you're trying to become, what it is you're trying to move forward with, right? So even if it is healing from past trauma, it doesn't mean that you forget about that trauma. It's, what does your healing look like now, right? So we can focus on the now, in the moment.
I love it. It's right up my alley. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. You know, I have a therapist myself. I like to say that it is part of wellness as a whole. Of course, you know, I'm sure that some people think like, okay, why is Joy talking about mental health at all? But again, in my industry, and this goes on the side of, you know, clients that we work with, as well as being professionals who see women every day. First and foremost, dysmorphia, body dysmorphia, physical dysmorphia, and it's getting, I don't want to say worse. I try to use positive words as much as possible, but it's getting more and more serious every day. You know, just the way that we see ourselves and the fact that we're comparing ourselves to people online, what we think we see, you know, these filters that we have. People are getting lots of surgeries. People are getting, and again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with surgery in particular. You know, we have talked about this in the past in conversations where, you know, like if you are doing something to make yourself feel better and feel more confident, more power to you. But again, there should be a mental health parallel that goes with it, and you should be working on that while you're working on, you know, the things that you want to improve for yourself as well. And so again, mental health, you know, hairstylists, makeup artists, nail techs, we are little mini therapists ourselves. People come in all the time and kind of, and I've talked about this in other beautiful conversations with other beauty professionals, you know, they spill it. you know all their business, you know all the tea, you know, and a lot of times us as beauty professionals don't have any type of training to deal with. We don't know how to, as you said, I'm not your homegirl, I'm not, you know, those boundaries are already set and they're there. So again, I'll advocate, because sometimes it's important that you have that person. You know, when you're a person who people come to all the time, it's important for you to have somebody that's a part of your self-care community as well. So
that's right.
You know,
that's right.
It can get deep. It can get deep.
It can. And then, you know, we have our support system, but sometimes we don't want to overburden them, right? And so, and what I mean by overburden them is not saying not to reach out to people when they say, hey, reach out to me when you're in need of some help. However, it's just like dumping. Let's talk about that, right? Emotional dumping versus Vincent. Vincent, it's a two-way conversation, because one, you're going to ask the person if they have enough time. Can they listen to you? Do they have 10 to 15 minutes, first and foremost? Versus emotional dumping usually is like, girl, let me tell you what went on, and then you just start to dump on the person. It wasn't, hello, how was your day? Can I talk to you real quick? Can I even bring something past you? Can I make sure I'm not going crazy because I had an interaction with my supervisor? You just automatically just dump. And then 9 times out of 10, you're not dumping just on that one subject. Everything else starts to come to play, whether it's about dating, a partner, children, mom, dad issues, whatever, and you pour it and dump it all on that person, and you don't allow them an opportunity to speak. You're not open to their feedback that they have. So that's the difference, right? So when you are tapping into your support network, first do an inventory of yourself, right? And say, am I calling to really get feedback, or am I calling to just let it all out?
Mm-hmm.
Either way is fine, but the other person that's going to be the receiver, the listener, ask them if they have time. Do they have the capacity to even take all that in at that time, right? And if they don't, it's no love lost. At that point in time, that's where you say, hey, you know what? I might need to get a therapist.
I definitely, again, just kind of sharing my own testimony, was going through a lot, at one point in time that, I'm a caregiver. You and I have talked about that. That's maybe a whole nother conversation, but different transitions in life, right? Evolving, going through different things. And I realized that I had a set of experiences, that really not any of my friends had been through. And I found myself kind of talking about the same subjects over and over and over again. And, because sometimes we get really upset with our peer group too, right? When it's like, child, she don't care, or they don't know what I'm going through. They didn't. And I realized that they did not have a skill set and no more capacity, number one. It's not that they didn't care, but, they kind of reached their limit. And I needed to seek someone else. Again, that's a part of self-care, y'all. I mean, at some point you have to choose. It's not about the other people showing up for you. You need to choose what's best for you. And then once you, again, have developed yourself and gotten some skills and seek, whatever professional that you need, you have a better gauge too of those people in that community. And I think your expectations get a lot more realistic too.
That's right.
But yeah,
I like what you said, showing up for yourself first, right? In order for you to even really look at stuff from a different lens beyond the one you have on every single day, show up for yourself first, because it would allow you to broaden that perspective. It truly will, because then you can accept people for who they are in your life. You can actually start to analyze your own personal core circle, right? And you can do that with the help of a therapist, right? But even then, if you don't have access to a therapist, just take note that you can self-reflect. Use a journal. You can journal how your interactions is with your circle group, your core group, and the things that you feel that they're lacking. Because it's not that they're lacking that. It may be just the fact that you haven't expressed how you want your relationship to look, which is a boundary, right? And so we have a friendship, have those tough conversations. And how can I be a friend to you, right? And this is what friendship looks like to me. We got to start having these real conversations with one another instead of expecting them to know how to read our minds, right? So I always like to say, let's assume that they don't know more than what we tell them, right? So think about that. If you haven't shared it with them, then can you assume that they know? No. But if you have shared it with them, then assume that they only know what you tell them. Catch on, right? Sometimes that throws people off a little bit, like, assume what? Yeah, assume that they only know what you tell them. So if you haven't verbalized those things,
Two things that you just pointed out. I know that you have a journal. Let's just go ahead and plug that.
Oh, yeah.
You have a journal. Yes. And I just purchased mine this morning. I was supposed to purchase it quite some time ago, but I'm excited to get it. I'm a huge journaler anyway. So I'm excited to get this one. And two, you post so many things on your social media, to kind of like help people process. If you, and I'm gonna, you can kind of come back to this question, because people talk about how a lot of people think that therapy is not affordable. Like you said, some people, if you can't afford a therapist or you don't know who to go to or even where to start. So I do want to answer that question for people, just so we can normalize and figure out, for those who may be looking and saying, I think it's time for me to go ahead and figure something out about a professional. I want to answer that question. But to also kind of start with, so many people are on social media just for fun. It should be fun, but they can start with following somebody like yourself who gives them points, to think about, and then tools like a journal, that will help them start to process some things on their own if they are not quite ready or maybe don't have the finances to go ahead and start there.
Yeah, that's right. And so to answer that question, when it comes to affordability, for instance, I'm a part of a nonprofit. It's called, a therapist that practices and lends services to the nonprofit at an affordable rate, and it's Open Path Collective. And so, that's right. And so you pay, yes, a lot of different places have subscriptions, but this one is literally, you pay a one-time fee, $59.99 or either $59. But it's not to do monthly, right? So it's something that goes back into that organization so that they can keep up their website, so that you can continue to research the therapists that's on there that are open to allowing some rates of service at affordable rate, for instance, right? So I'm part of that. And it goes anywhere from $0 to $60 for individual therapy. And I believe couples therapy may be $70. But think about that. That's a conversation that you're having with that therapist for you to come up with an agreement. And it's basically that form of sliding scale. So if you can't pay the service fee, look on there. They have therapists. They have therapists that look like you and I, on there as well. So in addition to Black Girls Therapy, in addition to using the other normal ways of finding a therapist, or if you have health insurance, using your health insurance provider search, behavioral health provider search, which is opposite from the medical provider search. So using those to look up people and then read their profiles, right? And see if that's a good fit. But if it isn't, there are therapists out here for you. Not everybody is for everybody. I've accepted the fact that I may not be for everybody, and that's okay, and don't feel bad. There's no hard feelings, no animosity or anything like that, because I personally, I can speak for myself, want the best for you. So if you're saying, hey, we're not a good fit, I totally understand. Do you need assistance with probably finding another therapist? I have a list of resources for you, right? So that you can look amongst those resources to determine what other therapists may be a better fit for you. And then that's what you do. But Open Path Collective, to plug them in, they're awesome. And I have a few clients that currently utilize them, and then some are on a 6-month where they're doing affordable rate. Others, they get reevaluated based off of what that conversation is that you have with the therapist you choose.
And again, as that advocate who has done it myself, who's doing it, who actively, again, part of my wellness, my support system, because, I think sometimes too, we say support system and we automatically go to a peer group, we automatically go to, these are friends or family. They're professionals as well, again, therapists, even people like myself, where it's a part of your beauty team. It's a part of all the pieces, like you said, self-care, all of it. I don't care. Maybe it's your favorite restaurant. Maybe it's a chef. It all.
Exactly. And that's what brings me back to when you say the journal, right? And so the journal is not like an average journal where you have a bunch of blank lines. I truly created it to be a guide, something to be self-help tool for those who may not have access to therapy at this present time, for those who may be still on the fence, or for those who really have this, they feel like they have enough tools, right? But just need some guidance as to what it is. So it serves as a reminder of what you consider self-care. It talks about the introduction of what self-care is to help you start to begin that process of defining what self-care looks like to you. We talk about the pillars of self-care, specifically the 4 pillars that is spoken about: physical, mental, social, and spiritual, right? And then I put a little twist to it. So within the journal, you're exploring what are your dreams and goals. It has affirmations throughout the journal. It talks about purpose. So what is purpose, right? And then help you to define what purpose is for yourself. How your vision in life aligns with that purpose. And so a lot of people always hear us say these hot topics, right? These hot terms, these hot words about vision, affirmation, manifestation. And I see how it can be off-putting for some who aren't there yet. Like, what? You always talking about manifesting? What am I manifesting? I don't have it right now. Like, so what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But it breaks that down as to what it is, right? What manifestation means, but it's the work that you put in. So just think about, hey, if I have a dream, my manifestation would be my work. What I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and how I'm moving. It's all interrelated. So it's your whole self, your external environment as well. Who am I surrounding myself with, right? And then it has areas to break down goal mapping for self-care versus goal mapping as well for me moving towards that goal or that dream. So you can break down not only just the goal, but the steps underneath. So for instance, if you said, I desire to get 8 hours of sleep as a part of my self-care routine, then those steps underneath would be, what does eight hours of sleep look like? How can I get that? Develop a routine. Try to be in bed by no later than 10 o'clock, right? Try to eat my meals at a certain time, so I'm not getting up in the middle of the night, or I'm not drinking throughout the night, turning off my social media, unplugging, turning off the TV, turning off lights, playing subtle music. I'm just throwing things out there, but those are all steps, right? And so until you develop a habit and it becomes a daily practice, this is going to be your subtle reminder. So you can check off and say, hey, did I make dinner on time? Did I disengage from social media? Did I turn off TVs, right? Did I turn off my notifications off my phone, first and foremost? Did I put it on silent? So some of these things to help you along the way if you identify what those challenges may be. So it has ability for all of that. Yeah. And lastly, it has the commitment to self. And so you're just writing a commitment to yourself and you're signing it, because at the end of the day, you want to put yourself first, and being first does not mean you're being selfish. Even for us as caregivers, in order for us to pour into the person that we're caring for, we have to pour into ourselves first. We truly do, because then that way we can ensure that we're giving them our best.
It's basically taking your power back. You know, I remember my father saying a lot of people feel powerless, you know, you and I, we ain't gonna get super deep, but again, everybody here who in this platform knows that I advocate for Black women first and foremost, and just our story here in this country. But I think sometimes that powerlessness, I mean, when you are descendants of slaves, you know, being powerless is kind of handed down to you. And fear, a lot of those things, you know, sometimes our goals can feel so far away, but I love how that journal gives you your power back. It shows you, you know, how to get on track, because like you said, I mean, it could be as simple as getting more sleep. You know, you might feel like, oh, well, I gotta go to work, I can't afford to do that, I gotta do this, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You know,
you can.
Even, and again, because I use myself as I try to, you know, lead by example. And at the time, I was making no money when I decided that I needed therapy. It was at a super, super low point in my life. And, you know, I'm talking within $300, you know, that I had to work for a month. And I made a conscious decision that out of that $300, I was going to take that $60. Because if I couldn't, if I didn't have my head, basically, there was no way I was going to get out of anything else, you know. And now, you know, I'm working where I want to work. I have an amazing job, you know. And so that's just my own personal testimony, the relationship I want to be in. And again, I'm bringing my healthiest self to every one of those situations. So I'm grateful that both of us, again, women who look like us, can continue to have these conversations, normalize these things, and just,
That's right.
continue to be advocates out here, because we need us all to be at our best. That's what's going to make the world a better place.
We sure do, because as women, we're nurturers anyway. So we're creators, we're nurturers, whether it is about an invention, an idea, or even if, think about it, not to knock the men, they're great. But even if our Black men come up with ideas, if they have a woman in the household who is her whole self, right, and offers the ideas and gives him that conversation in between, it strengthens his ability to be innovative. So you're still a part of those things as well. So I started offering self-care workshops, right? So when the pandemic hit, it was fine because I did a virtual one. But then I went back to the self-care workshops, and I did one called Mama Mentality, right? And so it was Pillow Talk and PJs, Mama Mentality edition. And I had a close friend of mine who was also in the health field. So not only is she a registered nurse, she's also a coach for new moms, right? Because it's to help new moms navigate self-care for themselves and those who those who are going through postpartum, and some who are, their routine has just been uprooted because they are introducing a new baby into the household. So their daily routine may not look like what it used to be. So it throws them off track. And so we offered that as well, and got great feedback that it was so much needed and help, because we talked about mommy guilt, not only for new moms, but for moms who've been in the game for a while, right? But how to navigate those feelings, because it's okay to feel how you feel. It's just what you do with it afterwards, right? So moving from feeling guilty or ashamed or sad or angry, but letting it stop you in your tracks is what we're trying to help people move away from. So you can be upset and happy and angered, but there's always a but. You can also still move through. You can also still push forward, right? And that's not saying we're ignoring those feelings. No, you're going to acknowledge it, but you're going to also affirm. That's where the affirmation comes in, and believe it, that you're going to move forward, because guess what? You also overcame some things in your past. You have to just remind yourself of that and take time to reflect on those things. And sometimes journaling can be a way to do that if you don't have someone to talk to.
I always like to say it's like having a toolbox, and you just put more tools in there so that, you can go back and go at any point and figure out which tool you need, for whatever situation that you're in. I'm going to go ahead and I always say, I'm going to throw my shot. I'm going to throw my free throw line. I would say, think about doing one for adult parents of adults, or even some of these older, like the older generations. I really find that they don't have a lot of vocabulary at all. And again, they're older. So a lot of us, who are middle age, tend to kind of struggle sometimes with these older people. And when we're trying to deal with our trauma and address the trauma, those people cannot meet us there. So I would love to see, I would show up with my mama, let's.
I like the mixed group. Our initial one was a mixed group, right? And so I had women there who were as old as 50. The youngest was, I think she was 16 and came with her mom, right? And so it's a small, intimate group. So definitely I'm not trying to do stuff like it's 20, 25 people, 10 or below, right? So that people can feel heard. They can curate their own space of support, what it looks like, that you don't always have to know someone A1 since day one type of thing. You can create new relationships in life, and it's okay, right? Especially if you guys need accountability for one another. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to be in the same state. Sometimes you can find other technology is like a gift and a curse, right? The gift part of it is the fact that you definitely can reach out to individuals who aren't even within your local area, that you will find to be supportive, whether you guys are having Zoom sessions, FaceTime, or even planning a once a year get together for instance. And those are some things that you can lead up to and enjoy. So I'm an advocate for that. My sister always says, girl, you socialize too much with everywhere we go, somebody trying to talk to you about something. Do you just have it written all over your face that, hey, talk to me, I'm gonna listen type of thing?
It's the energy thing.
But I just told her, we all operate and we all have a space within our lives where we've experienced trauma. Some of us are on our healing path. Others are trying to get on it. Even as a therapist, I have someone that I speak to. I have a group of peers that I tap into because life happens and we're human. We're not superhuman. So let's go ahead and get rid of that myth right now. We aren't superhuman. Yeah, we may have been able to navigate and endure a lot of traumas, but that's because we had to, not because we wanted to, if you really think about it. So just knowing that when you really want to pour into yourself, invest in yourself. It's okay. Even if you say, oh my gosh, this is my last $60 or my last $75. But think about the long-term effects it would have on you. Think about how it's going to impact each and every part of your life versus when I get something that's just short-term in the moment. What's my long-term effects? How can I go back and reflect? Did it give me something to put in my toolbox?
Yeah, and don't let people just keep taking from you too. But, okay. So, I love it. I love, I feel like this conversation has really shared some tools, in itself that people can take nuggets, and build on. Can you let everybody know where to find you?
So if you're on Instagram, I am True without the E, my True Pearl Solution Services. So backstory, True and Pearl are both my grandmothers. So I stand on their shoulders. So I've had the opportunity to know a couple of generations of grandmothers. So I do love that fact. But yes, True, TRU, Pearl _ Solution Services that's at Instagram. And on Facebook, it's just True Pearl Solution Services. And my website is www.truepearlsolutionservices.com. And so that's how you can reach me. I use the social media platforms only just to share information, tips, reminders. Think of it as subtle reminders. I even follow people on social media who have mental wellness ideas or who put up affirmations because I feel like I would rather see more of that than a lot of the negatives, because it does impact you, especially if you are navigating these spaces and you already feeling bad about yourself, right? So then you start to compare yourself to people's stories, or you start that's right. You just start, that's right.
And I like to say, sometimes I unfollow, follow daily, just depending on where I'm at. Sometimes, like they say, yesterday's price is not today's price, honey. So
I love that one.
You have to do what you got to do. I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
For you. Again, I was supposed to do this probably earlier, but I love to give people their flowers, like while they're here. And I just think that what you're doing in the community is amazing. I clearly wouldn't have her on here if, I didn't think that she was amazing and I didn't want to share, the gifts that she shares with you all. So you and your husband both are very admirable people in the community, and you're doing the work, and I see you. I've seen you grow, and I'm grateful that you're in my community.
Thank you. I am grateful for you too, sis, because I love our conversations and just being innovative, right? But then also, because like we said, we got a whole gamut of conversations that we can talk about just accepting your growth, accepting and knowing your worth, and not allowing yourself to remain in circles that can't see that, right? So instead of trying to fit in, more so be in a circle that accepts you for who you are. So they accept you with flaws and all, with growth and all, with advancement and all, and so I love it. And I thank you and I appreciate you as well, because we've always stayed connected, even if it was through, that's why I said social media is a gift and a curse, but even through social media, we were still able to stay connected, chime in, tap in, reach out to one another.
Thank you. You guys, make sure you follow True Pearl Solutions, the Around the Way Therapist. This has been Beautiful Conversations, and we'll see you next time.